What is good, everybody? Hopefully, y'all are doing well and spectacular. Thank you so much for joining us once again on another episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm-Up Sessions podcast. And Sergei just got back from New York, from Coffee Fest, from pouring some latte art.
That's true.
So we're going to dive into that over the next, over this episode. But first, like always, pouring some drip coffee.
We were laughing at that at our podcast because they came up in conversation a couple of times, and Alex had a good impersonation of us doing this sip, so I thought it was funny. He's like, "Yeah, it's probably over extracted." I was like, "Dude, just loosen up the grind. Like, why does it have to be always over extracted?" Well, that's a fun little batch. I don't think this is over extracted. Maybe at first.
I think it's under extracted.
I don't know. It's not sour.
I think it is. I think the back end's no fun.
I mean, it may just slightly lack a little bit of sweetness, but
Yeah, it does.
it's pretty good. I wonder what the grind size was. Was it 12?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think when Max was on the podcast, he recommended a 12.
Dude, I think this needs to go finer. It's like thin and it's kind of sourish. Doesn't leave like a really great mouth aftertaste.
I don't know.
But it does taste better than what we had last time with our little batch brew
Oh, yeah.
mess up, little Hario
Clever.
switch,
That
clever
was a
dripper,
clever move.
malfunction.
Yeah.
This is an Ethiopian natural, not from us, but from somebody else. And yeah, I don't know. I was expecting more. I guess I was expecting more from the aromas.
Yeah.
The aromas felt like it was a little punchier. Maybe that's why I'm saying that it's too coarse, because I'm expecting more and I'm wanting more out of it.
I mean, yeah, I could say probably could get more sweetness out of it. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a dialed brew, but it's nearly there. What was your ratio on this one?
It was just a hair over 1:216.
Yeah.
So 1:216.2 maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'd probably.
It's weird. It's
maybe
like
just
it's
going
like
a little.
it's not there or
It's not
there.
too thin.
Yeah,
Maybe just
kinda
going
strange.
a little finer would do it well.
or maybe it's a coffee thing.
I mean, it has some kind of complexity on it that I'm enjoying. It's like almost like a dried fruit. Was it what did they label on the flavor notes?
I don't quite remember. Something with cherries, maybe.
Oh, cherry blossom,
Yeah,
jasmine.
jasmine's on there.
Yeah,
Okay,
I believe so.
it's kind of shocking for a natural, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, now that you say jasmine, maybe that makes a little bit more sense with what I'm tasting.
Yeah, it's not a heavy coffee at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I just was expecting that.
Yeah. Not too shabby.
Yeah. So you just got back from Coffee Fest. How long were you there for?
I mean, classic time. We didn't leave much buffer at all for like travel. It was kind of a tight trip. But we flew in on the 5th, flew out on the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
But the 5th was like, of course, classic all-day travel. We left super early. I mean, the ordeal with the wallet. You know what? Shockingly enough, I was able to bust through security in Seattle without any form of identification.
I was shocked.
Not a single piece of ID or credit card. I didn't have a credit. I had nothing with my name on it, and I got through in 20 minutes.
How's that even appropriate?
I've done it twice.
What kind of security breach is that?
They vetted me hard.
They did?
Yeah, they found me. I mean, that was easy. they looked me up and found me for sure.
Really?
Yeah,
You're
that
in
was
the
easy.
system, dude.
But they asked a bunch of weird questions, and I guess he laughed that I couldn't answer them, and I passed because from my kind of understanding from the situation is like you don't have to answer everything right. Like if you know all the answers, like clean cut, like you're reading a book, then something's fishy going on.
No way.
But if you're just like, because they ask like personal questions, like, I don't know, it's your grandma's birthday, like stuff like that you're like, what? Like, I don't know how old my grandma is. Like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like, it was pretty wild. Then like they asked like, what day was your mom born on? You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So it was pretty wild. But 20 minutes got through, and the weird thing at the end of going through security, they're putting my bags down, and then all of a sudden I hear like a small little alarm going off, and the security guy looks over at me and he's like, dude, we have code Bravo, and all security guys and all security folks just like stop, drop everything, and do a formation.
Around you?
No, around the airport. There was some kind of security breach at the airport.
Seattle?
Yeah. And it just, everything paused. Like I saw security guards just run to one exit, go out to each like checkpoint, and they were like spaced out. And then everyone where you put your bags in just lines up and just like,
unreal.
it's pretty wild.
Dude.
I was
spooky.
like, what happened? Like, what is code Bravo?
Yeah.
Anybody out there that works in TSA? Like,
you're not
code
actually
Bravo.
allowed to say. I heard a lot of those things.
Really?
Like, yeah, from what I've heard, actually, you're not even allowed to say something like, I don't know, something like you're not even allowed to say sometimes you can't say the pilot's name.
I mean, I would assume
I don't know.
That sounds about
It's
right.
it's like stuff like you have to, like, some things are like very.
Yeah.
Anyways,
No,
dude, that's insane.
It was
That's
wild.
insane. Yeah.
And then on top of it all, it's like we're on the airplane, and they're like, "Yeah, we just did a software update on our plane, and it's a new software that we're gonna try for the first time."
It's so
You're like,
ridiculous.
sweet, yes, let's go.
Oh gosh, dude.
Like trial and error right here. Like if we get there, it's a good software update. If we don't, then you gotta fix the glitch.
If anybody has accidentally clicked turn update automatically, knows that's the wrong thing to do.
Updating software mid-flight, it's like reboot now. No, 30-second countdown. You're like, no.
That's terrifying. Wow. So yeah, I'm shocked actually. Like that was my first thought when you called me about your wallet. I was like, dude, how is he gonna get on the plane? That's insane. Because I'm shocked that they even let you on with nearly anything. But yeah, that's crazy. And then you went with a couple people, or who'd
No, I
you go
went with Alex.
Oh,
So
with Alex.
Narrative
Okay.
sent me. So
Cool.
yeah, basically went with Alex. Alex set everything up. I didn't do a lick of anything. Like I was just playing follow the leader, like completely the whole trip. Like,
wow, what a
Alex is a
travel
very good
experience.
planner. Yeah, for sure.
That's
It was
excellent.
one of the first travel experiences where I'm not in charge of anything.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, whenever I traveled, I was always like planning, doing the budgets, doing the plan, like itinerary, like all of that. And this time around, just hopped on a plane, had my tickets ready, and just went for it. So it was super exciting. And then the Airbnb we were staying was in Manhattan. It's like
Nice.
5 blocks or 4 blocks from Times Square, just right in the heat of it. It was excellent.
Dang.
It was a classic, like, Alex did a good job planning because it was a full immersed New York experience.
Fully immersed
Yeah.
New York experience.
It was great. And then
That's incredible.
we shared an Airbnb with Chris Mendoza. You probably have seen Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Works over at St. Frank's and
Nice.
another bar, and then does hiatus. Chris and Maddie and Lisa Bolchi, or they're not married yet, so they don't share a last name. They're engaged. So Maddie and Lisa, the five, what is that? 4 of us? Yeah, the 5 of us stayed. Yeah, I
Wow.
got the classic couch, man. There's nothing like the couch.
Nothing like that.
Nothing like the couch. It was
That's
it was the Walmart one that kind of breaks open, that like, you just kind of pull it up and then it goes flat and it's super tiny. The
Dude,
problem with
I
that,
thought New York
folks,
would have a little more class than a Walmart couch.
I think that's where I've seen it. I've seen it on Walmart.com. You know why I haven't never bought it? It's not comfortable. It's like you rather sleep with it up, because as soon as you kind of open it up, it's so small that your body can only lay in the middle. And if you lay in the middle, you lay in the seam. who wants to lay in the sleep in the seam?
It's right.
That's where all the metal parts are.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, but part of me like absolutely loves those kind of things when you're traveling, like especially because I wasn't with Deja, I wasn't with Rain. It was just kind of a solo, like a solo.
When
trip,
everything's too comfortable, it's like it's not the same travel experience.
It's a classic, like suitcases like up front next to the couch, and then Chris was sleeping on the other couch, and the living room is just like all the cables sticking out, toothbrushes. It was great,
dude. That's delightful. Yeah, I know we talked about a little bit about competing coffee a couple episodes ago, and a lot of these things that we're probably gonna maybe mention today is gonna overlap, but this is like practically exactly what just happened,
right?
Literally this week for you. What was it like getting together? I think this is your first coffee event since COVID.
Yeah, so I went to Coffee Fest back in Tacoma. So it's Coffee Fest PNW. It's 2019.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that was right before, that was right before COVID.
I don't know. Maybe I believe that was my first Coffee Fest was 2019, and I didn't compete in that one. I showed up.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they do a thing called alternates, or something like that. Well, basically it's like a sub. So if someone doesn't show up, they call in for a sub, and they're like, "Oh, you're up," and go. So I signed up and actually poured at that one, but I wasn't technically part of the competition. And even on that one, I got to top 16, but that's because the bracket was so small. I only had to beat one person to be in top 16. So that was fun. Just jumping in as an alternate. And this one was like my first real submission, my first practice. Like Alex and I trained. We would basically we did a training like to kind of copy the procedure of what you would do at Coffee Fest, which is like you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You have a time clock. And as soon as they say go, you can put in your portafilter, grind some coffee, pour milk, and make as many drinks as you want.
Yeah.
And usually properly you can execute 2. If it was 3 minutes, you could execute 3, but it gives you that little buffer to do everything. And then everything, not only from pouring it, like your cup can't have any smears or smudges on there. Like for me, like when they did that, I got docked a point. They even picked up and looked under my cup to make sure. Yeah. Nasty. So it's like before the time clock starts, I set up my workstation. I clean the bar. I do everything just to make sure there's nothing in the way, because sometimes, towels hang out wrong. You can trip yourself up by accident and then get frazzled. But yeah, so that was that. So this
How many
was my
people were on the bracket?
64.
Dang.
Yeah, this New York is the big one.
Yeah.
So this is the big one.
And Coffee Fest is pretty new. Am I taking that right? Like the event?
No, Coffee Fest has been around for 10, 20 years.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's been around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. People like...
I, for some reason,
one
thought
of our
that
friends
was the newer one, where the SCA was like...
Yeah, it's definitely newer than SCA, for sure. But
Okay,
SCA has been around forever.
For the longest time. Yeah.
Okay. 30 plus years, I think.
Cool.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but it's been a while.
Yeah. Give us like a little rundown. I know there's a lot that you could probably see to this, but you have Coffee Fest New York, and you knew that you were going already a couple months in advance. What's your preparation like for competing from like a craft standpoint? Like, what are you trying to do? How do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, I would say, for me, this was a weird one, like a weird prep, because last time I actually worked behind the bar for service was for Makeworth. And then I stopped working at Makeworth October 16th, and then I started prepping for Coffee Fest with no like bar work. So I wasn't pouring lattes. I wasn't used to bar flow, nothing. And my submission was due before narrative was open. So the challenge behind that is, you're pretty rusty. Like if you don't work behind the bar for 3 months, it's not like you lose your skills, but you're not as good as you are, because it does take some form of muscle memory, some form of like comfort to actually execute your pours well. So what we did is Alex and I got some we did a few practices. We did some with our milk that we're familiar with, because milk is a big part of pouring. The way it glides on the crema is different. Milk glides differently. So we used our milk, which is much more expensive. It's more comfortable for us. And actually, now that I think about it, I did work behind the bar, because I did an Everett I filled in.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty minor.
That was it. But it was minimal.
Yeah.
So got some dark roasted coffee. That's another thing, because they usually use a darker, more developed coffee at Coffee Fest, because contrast looks better. I think the blend was Sumatra, Brazil, and there's something else. It was classic darker blend. One that allows for more crema, and you're not pouring full shots.
Yeah.
So I was practicing with 20-gram shots, and I was eyeballing what it looks like. So first round I practiced with scales to see what 20 grams would look like, and how that would feel like when you're preparing everything. So my flow was put the portafilter and the milk jug next to the grinder. So as soon as time goes, I would grind my coffee and pour my milk at the same time, set everything ready, and as soon as that is done grinding, I would tamp, move to the side, stick the portafilter in, start dropping the shot, and steam the milk. So the shot should be finished with me having enough time, finish steaming the milk, transferring it, stop the shot, swirl the espresso, and pour. Gotcha. I am able to make a drink in about 45 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's fairly quick. Yeah. Because the shots are small in weight, but long in time. So you basically pulling 20 grams of espresso in 20 seconds or more, 24. So it gives you that time. So we practiced once with just getting our pours down. For me in general was for my submission. Yeah. And then after I got accepted into Coffee Fest, we were practicing basically the whole flow on how we would do it exactly at Coffee Fest. So yeah. And I think what Alex was just also complimenting me on this, the weird thing is when I was practicing for my submission, it was one thing, but when I put on the time, I did much better. So the pressure of time actually allowed me to pour much better. And I think that had to do with flow rate. I wanted to get my drink poured quicker, so therefore I tend to pour quicker, literally the milk came out quicker. And my designs look much better. Yeah. So that was in my
interesting. Benefit. What would you say to somebody who's looking to compete in Coffee Fest? What would you recommend? What are a couple tips that you can give them, some very practical tips if they want to compete in Coffee Fest and pour latte art?
One, follow your heroes, follow people you look up to, dial in your style. That was one of the things that I had to do, is figure out what I was going to pour, even for my submission. Yeah. There's so many designs you can pour. And, even before going to Coffee Fest, some of the folks I look up to in the industry are, Alex, hands down. I would say Alex is in the top 5 of the world, best, for sure, hands down. It's a big, maybe even big tied claim for number 1. And then Matty Bolchi is the other guy, just insane. Obviously Nicely is a legend. He's been around forever. Mason is the other one. Incredible. The funny thing is I competed against Mason at a throwdown in St. Augustine back in the day, but we never hung out. So in New York, we actually got to hang out every day. That was super cool. So those are things, follow people that you look up to whose style you like, and then study their style and dial in why do you like it, what are they doing different. If you, for example, for me, Alex, Mason, and Maddie, and then also Emily, they have a very similar pattern that they pour, kind of the Rosetta, and it's more of a big leaves in the middle, nice top heart. The reason I was gravitating towards that design was because it has so much flow. Yeah. It's insane. But after studying it for so long, what you come to realize is what you can and cannot like execute well with. Like when I started preparing for Coffee Fest, I did not pour rosettas. I was just not good at them. Because that's a pattern that I look up to. That's what I want to do in the long run. But it takes way more than, if you a couple years behind the bar, or even like, it depends on who you are. I'm not going to say like no one can master it quickly, but it takes a while to master such flow. Yeah. And that's why, for me, that's why it's beautiful. It's challenging. It looks amazing when you watch someone execute. It's unreal. Like, it's epic. So like I chose not to do that. Chose to do something that I'm a little more comfortable, which is the tulip pattern. Mm-hmm. So I also then started studying folks who do amazing tulips, and within that, like Antoine or Twiz is another legend. Like he's been around. He's maybe been around as long as Nicely pouring latte art in a sense, but he's been around for a long time. He trained a lot of these folks that we were hanging out with, And so I studied his style because I think he has some of the most beautiful tulips in the world, or probably the most beautiful style that I admire. Now, his style is very different from UJ's. UJ is another famous latte artist. He does the classic Ripple 5 or 6 1. So he has so many layers. It looks insane. Like very thin lines. He has a signature. He just released a signature picture with slow pour like yesterday. But it's a long answer, but find your style, study it, and then practice it, then go from there. So for sure. But I think like throughout this whole conversation, like we start talking about craft, like again, like I name more people than I name like latte art patterns, because those people are why and what I look up to. Yes, they represent a craft. I think that was my favorite part, is I knew Maddie and I knew Mason from the aspect of, or even UJ, like I know them from the aspect of what they do and what they put on, but I never actually like knew them. So to spend like, again, like I'm like 33 years old and I like feel like a kid sometimes around folks that are like Maddie, like it's unreal, to be able to spend time with him and Lisa, like just hang out as friends, going out to eat, just banter, like riding Ubers together. That's definitely my favorite part of the whole trip. Like even though we were there for competition to compete within our craft. So for sure. Yeah,
that's pretty excellent. Yeah, I think that's what in general just makes working in coffee and being part of a craft that you're actually committed to and devoted to so special, is because it just draws this beautiful bridge of connection amongst people who are also like so sold out for something as ridiculous as literally you're pouring flowers with milk. Yeah. Like, come on. Like in general, it's like, okay, are you really like, that's like the most ridiculous thing to think about. Yeah. But it's like, no, it's like when people are super committed about this craft, that automatically builds this bridge of like connection and relationship and community that actually makes it so much more satisfying to even be pursuing it. And I think a lot of like what you're saying about like, man, find somebody who has a style that you like and study them. It reminds me of like back when I used to play a lot of soccer. It was like you find, a team that you like, or you just watch soccer nonstop because you're just studying the game, studying how they're playing, so you can incorporate that into your own game. And but at the end of the day, even though you can compete with somebody and play your heart out, at the end of the day, it's like the game ended. Cool. They're not an enemy. They're not somebody that's out against you. It's just like, cool. We both played. We both did our best. Yeah. That's what we're here for.
Speaking of soccer, UJ is insane. I had no idea that he plays soccer. No idea. He is insanely good. So if any of y'all follow UJ, you should scroll down and find anything that he posts about soccer. He came to one of the throwdowns, like Espresso State of Mind throwdown is another like prestigious throwdown that if you win,
Yeah.
super important. And that was like, sometimes they have like 100 people in the bracket. So it's like a massive throwdown.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I think there was like 200 people in the building. You had to pay to be in the building. Like it's a big deal, right?
Insanity.
So UJ was there and he was wearing a Messi jersey. And I was like,
That's powerful.
dude. But so then
Respect.
at the end of like Coffee Fest and our last day before the airport, we went out to eat and we were just talking. And then he mentioned an injury and I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, I injured my foot like about like a month ago playing soccer. And he's like, oh, what, you play? So we started talking. Turns out his friend, someone he played soccer with, it plays for Tottenham Spurs. I was like, wait, what? Like you have friends in the English Premier League?
Yeah.
Unreal. Like, and then he showed me some videos. I looked up some of his videos, dude. It's insane. He's so good. So,
Wow.
yeah, little thing. You should, everybody listening should look it up.
What's his Instagram?
UJ Lee. It's just
It's literally UJ.
It's spelled. I'll tell you. It's spelled. There. It's
Wow, that's powerful.
UJAE_. Yeah.
UJAE
_. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. Where's that video? It's so wild. He just so good at soccer. I don't know how I found it. It's somewhere there, folks. Oh, look at that. Hold on. He's incredible. He's so good at soccer. Dude, it's incredible. So I thought it was cool. It was
And
like,
he's on TikTok? What is this?
I don't know. Is this on TikTok? Yeah, he's on TikTok. That's actually from his TikTok account. Oh, incredible.
Dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was cool. I was like, oh, super sick. He's like, dude, come back to New York. Let's play soccer. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to get embarrassed, but
Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, as we wrap this up, any parting words? Anything
Man,
you have
that was a
something to
quick one.
share? Yeah, that flew by quick. Anything else you'd want to share about your experience?
yeah. Don't lose your wallet when you head to New York, because getting it
Code
overnighted.
Bravo.
Yeah, code Bravo. Yeah, getting it overnighted to New York is not fun or cheap.
Yeah.
I love New York. That's a big thing. I found out. I had no
Nice.
idea. So I'll definitely go back to New York. And then at the end of the day, I think the core theme, like every single time, what I like about the fact that we talk about competition is we always talk about the friends and the connections and the relationships we build. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And craft is cool, but when you don't get to share it with friends and you don't get to inspire someone or have someone be inspired by your work, it really doesn't matter. So
And that's so much easier said than done, like
For
a
sure.
lot of things.
yeah, for sure.
So,
Just gotta keep at it.
yeah. Cool. Well, there it is, folks. How far did you get in Coffee Fest?
A top 16.
Top 16.
Yeah.
Woo, woo,
So,
woo, woo.
I lost to Sean, and Sean, she killed it. She won
That's
the
incredible.
whole thing. Yeah,
Well, it's not too bad to lose to a winner.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, there it is, folks. Thank you so much for listening. And yeah, I don't have very much to say, but hope you guys have a good one. Remember, folks, reflect what's good.